Hello, and welcome to Transformed. I'm your host, Josh McMullen, where we will discuss and explore topics and ideas on how to transform our current lives and be the person we need to be and the person God created us to be. Today's episode, I want to talk about praise and kind of having a thankful and grateful mindset. So with Thanksgiving being around the corner, right, I think I'm recording this a little early, so Thanksgiving here in a couple days. I want to do an episode on Thanksgiving and the power of being thankful and the power of being grateful and kind of having that mindset of praise and having that mindset of gratitude. So what is gratitude? In positive psychology, gratitude is the human way of acknowledging the good things in life. So why should we be grateful? There are actual benefits to being grateful. I was going through this several articles, positivepsychology.com, Harvard had their own study on the power of praise and the power of being grateful, and there's actually a lot of books out there on the power of praise. I think that's actually the title of one of the books. So there's actually a lot of information out there on the power of just being grateful and the power of praise. So one of the benefits, right, we can be happier. Being grateful increases actually self-satisfaction and enhances mood. Self-satisfaction, how many of us are self-satisfied right now? I think that could be a really big definition on people today would be just the lack of self-satisfaction. We're always constantly trying to buy new things, do new things, change. But a lot of time, not good changes. I think there's a lot of, we're trying to find ourselves out there, but, a lot of time we're looking at a lot of the wrong areas. So, having a praiseful mindset of what's going on that's really great right now and actually viewing the positives in life can help with that self-satisfaction. So, it also increases our mood. Our bodies become stronger. We have stronger immune systems. We have actually better blood pressure, better cardiac functioning, better sleep and wake cycles, reduces pain, gets rid of a lot of toxic emotions, and reduces anxiety and depression. We also develop better social benefits. We get better at communicating. We become more empathetic. We become stronger in our relationships. We become a better teammate, and we actually become more likable. I actually don't think any of those things sound bad. So, this is I don't know. When reading this, I was just really excited to do an episode on this because really, who wouldn't want to be have any of those things, right? Like a better teammate. Some of us might not be playing sports right now. So whether that's maybe you're a better coworker, maybe you're a better spouse, with the stronger relationships, maybe you're a better student, maybe you're a better husband, wife, son, daughter, whatever it is. And having this praise mindset, having this gratitude mindset really is going to help drive having a better, when reading, I was like, man, this is really key to having that transformation, right? Having that better life, having that pursuit towards being the best versions of ourselves. Really, a lot of it boils down to how we view the circumstances and how we view where we're at in life. Gratitude is the key on being happy in that life. Gratitude actually drives that happiness, which boosts that motivation, which boosts our productivity, which boosts, right, our relationships. If we're happy, right, those interactions become a little bit better. Maybe we become that better spouse that our spouse would obviously would want us to be happy. So gratitude is very vital to transformation. If you want to change, if you're wanting to transform, you got to start by praise. You got to start with gratitude. This can be, gratitude about your assets, gratitude about your talents, your skills, your jobs, your relationships, whatever. You can be really with anything. Start with gratitude. With the assets part, I look around and we're starting to build a barn and a fence and for horses, and we got really blessed with 4 acres. So for us, it's okay. Look at the property, look at your home. Is it the biggest home in the world? Absolutely not. I think we only have like 1,200, 1,300 square feet, but it's perfect for us, and we love it. And we got, like I said, we got a very big yard, so of property, and we're very excited about that. So talents. Be grateful about some of the talents you have. Some of you are great writers. Some of you are, whether it's musicians, whether you're funny, whatever, or maybe you're really good at several jobs, whatever it is, whatever your talents are, whatever your skills are, take time to be grateful about those things. Relationships. A lot of the time, that I think this is a big key, right? Is being grateful about the relationship you're in, especially if you're married. So instead of maybe looking at somebody else's grass and like, man, it's really green over there, or, and this is where the trap of like Instagram or TikTok or any of these social media platforms is you're basically seeing people's highlight reels and you're being able to fantasize about Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, when in all reality, that person doesn't exist, and Mr. and Mrs. Perfect can actually probably be more realistic if you start watering your own grass. So instead of focusing on other people's grass, I think that's where like gratitude kind of start to, one, refocus you on your own grass, but also help you water your own grass, right? If you're starting to be more grateful about your partner, more grateful about them being in your lives and how wonderful they are and all the positive things that they do and what you're grateful about for them specifically, right, you're going to start to water your own grass. You're going to start to be happy. You're going to start to be specifically happy with your own partner. So gratitude is key, right? Whatever you want to focus on, and that's even with jobs. There's a lot of job burnout today, and I think it's because you're out there and you're sitting there and you're seeing all these other jobs, whether it's making money, whether it's doing this or that, whatever it is, right? You kind of focus in on those other jobs. Again, start to water your own job. No, I'm not saying don't change jobs, but maybe you're in a position where you actually have a really good job and you can just focus and water your current job and improve and grow within your own organization or your own department, rather than trying to, leave and try to find, I don't know, an extra $1 an hour or whatever. Try to water your own grass right now. And then I mentioned Harvard earlier. A study from Harvard actually monitored the attitudes of 3 groups, and I really like this to kind of emphasize what this positive mindset, this gratitude mindset does for people in terms of our health, in terms of how we function in our relationships. So they had 3 groups. One group was to focus on positive things, so they're actually supposed to journal each day. And the other group was focused on irritating and negative things and journal about that each day. And then the last group was a control group where they're supposed to focus on both, right? Whatever happened, they're supposed to not really focus on anything, just focus on, or not focus on anything, but they were supposed to really just detail with how the events happened, negative, positive, whatever. They studied these 3 groups for 10 weeks, and they actually have it down that the group who focused on being grateful, they were more optimistic. They felt better about their lives than they did going into it. And then also they had fewer doctor's visits than those who focus on aggravation. So they actually went to the doctor less than the other group. So to be honest with you, like when psychology, whether, psychology, positivepsychology.com or these Harvard studies write about psychology, I'm actually a really big fan of psychology, and I absolutely love how the mind works, and all these tiniest little impacts, like on just like, being grateful, how it can completely shape how your body actually forms, right? Like reducing stress, reducing depression, reducing anxiety, helping you with grief. There's so many elements to being grateful that it actually lists, that I think it's wonderful how powerful the mind is, right? Like, that slight difference between, praise and criticism. Like if we focus on the bad, our bodies actually reflect that bad, right? We develop those depression, anxiety, we lose sleep, we gain weight, we gain stress, and like so on. And, the mind is just extremely powerful. And I'm a big fan of when psychology and scripture actually start lining up. That's when I'm taking notes, I'm dotting things. I'm like, okay, when psychology and scripture line up, you've got to pay attention, because you got to pay attention to Scripture anyway, but especially, if you're getting multiple sources telling you, hey, this is how the mind works, this is how your body's going to react, this is how your spirit's going to react, that's when you really got to, take out notes and put a mirror to your life and see, okay, how can we change this or shape this to fit? So, and I've talked about this actually several times. The mind is powerful, right? And with whether it's psychology or Scripture, right? A lot of our transformation is going to begin and end in our mind, whether we're going to win the war of our minds. So, in order to start down that path, there's a lot of elements to winning the war in your mind, but I think a big key part of that to start down that path is you've got to be grateful, right? You got to start having that gratitude, that praise, that positive mindset, and start watering your own grass and making your grass greener, and start being positive in order to go down that path. So how do we actually develop being grateful? How do we develop gratitude? So first, I recommend gratitude in prayer, right? I'm a Christian. That's kind of the first recommendation I always have is prayer, and actually prayer ends up being the answer to a lot of things, but definitely with gratitude. And specifically, if you look at Psalms 100, it tells you, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. So if you read, I'll put the article and the show notes about positive psychology. They talk about praise. Actually, and again, they actually highlight, they're very open. They said, the Almighty and Almighty, looking at counting your blessings that you've received. So start listening and start talking to God about those things that you're thankful for. Again, we already went down, like whether that's assets, family, friends, jobs, skills, your health, whatever it is. Do that on a daily basis to not only build your gratitude muscle, right? Like hey, I'm going to start focusing on all this stuff, but also if you're praying daily about all the things you're thankful for, you're also going to be building a prayer life, and you're fortifying and strengthening your faith and your relationship with God. So praise can give us that access to God and helps us be molded by God and helps strengthen that relationship. So prayer is very, very key, especially in the Christian life. And they actually, again, when psychology and Scripture start lining up, prayer was on the Harvard study. It was on several other things, and on the positive psychology. Prayer was listed on ways to build gratitude. So highly recommend, if you don't pray, start praying. If you're a Christian, you got to pray more. If that's, maybe you've got to pray a couple times a day in order to start, getting that praise mindset. Maybe you've got to pray, 3 times a day, and each time you're going to be grateful for the events that happen. Maybe you got in the morning, you're going to be grateful for a wonderful night's rest and a wonderful home, and then maybe at noon you're grateful for the morning, whatever happened in that morning, and list it and be very specific. And then maybe at night, right, you're going to be thankful for what happened throughout the day. So be very specific about your prayers, and continue to build that praise with God and for God and what he's done for you throughout your life. Along with prayer, I also recommend a gratitude journal, which could also be a prayer journal, right? So it can actually do both. But they also recommend every single list at journaling down for helping build your gratitude. So sometimes, just like the people in the Bible, right, we forget the blessings that God gave us, or maybe you're not a Christian, right? But a lot of the time we forget the great things that happened to us. We're very quick to move on, right? In Exodus, they had all these wonderful miracles performed, and then they would just turn around and completely forget God's blessings and completely get how God delivered them. And that's actually not even just the Exodus, the story of Exodus. That's all throughout the Old Testament. It's all throughout the New Testament. That's all throughout your own life, right? Like where wonderful things happen, and then like 2 weeks later, we're back, right? And we've completely forgotten. But a journal, right? Writing down your blessings and actually being able to focus in, especially if you're combining that with prayer, and you're not only writing that down, but then you're going back to that journal and praying about it. One, that's going to strengthen your memory. It's going to keep reinforcing you to remember your blessings in life and where things went well, and also be able to I don't know, just keep them in the front of your mind. And also, you also see where God's working, especially if you're going to combine it with a prayer, right? You could not only get your prayer requests, but then also you can see where God's working at in your life. And you can see, wow, I was delivered here. Wow, this prayer got answered, and I'm actually a lot better from this. This got healed.